Welcome to another edition of the Nightly Nugent. Ted, yes, I'm a little bit under the weather, but nothing will keep me from hearing your input on the Nightly News because there is so much going on in the world, Ted, and our listeners and our viewers, they deserve you. And if I can't get here a little under the weather, they don't get you. So here we go. How are you, my friend?
You know, you can tell by my glowing red face that I'm so alive, it's almost unnatural. I'm having the greatest hunting season of my life. My mayor, my senator, my congressman, my governor, my president. Is that what that guy is? I don't think that's what that guy is. But they all know what the Nugent family stands for. God, family, country, Constitution, Bill of Rights, 10 Commandments, Golden Rule, that work ethic, the Declaration of Independence, law and order. I'm more radical today than I've ever been. I'm experimenting in self-government, which is the definition of radical. The Nightly Nuge is the beacon of truth, logic, and common sense. And you might be under the weather, but take a look at this old guitar player. I'm on top of the weather.
Well, you know what, Ted?
And hogs and turkeys and birds and squirrels and rabbits. And my dogs are so happy. And if my dogs are happy, the whole world has a chance to be very happy on the Nightly Nuge.
Well, you mentioned the government. We saw some of our government play out before our eyes on Friday and on through the weekend. Some people said it was bad, terrible, that some Republicans got in there and blocked Speaker McCarthy's, coronation. Others out there think that, what they did was extremely good if we're going to get some conservatism out of this Republican-controlled House of Representatives. First of all, I just want to get your overall take on what went on, what you think about the 20 and then ultimately 5 or 6 dissenters to McCarthy and how that played out.
You know, we've always talked here that I'm a radical, I'm an extremist because I dare to experiment in self-government. What we witnessed was self-government in action, Keith. Defiance is the pulse of the American dream, defying kings and emperors and despots and tyrants and punks and Fidel Castro Jr. in Canada and this freak in the White House. We defy wrongdoing and anti-constitutional, anti-goodwill and decency, anti-American pulsations. And those, what the dissenters, that's what they were doing. They represented me. So we put the pressure on McCarthy, who I'm not a fan of by any stretch of the imagination because he's almost been a Mitt Romney compromiser. And he's been involved in some of the worst votes in the world. We could list them if you want to, but just tragic. So the dissenters, which is what America is, we dissented against the standard operating procedure status quo of the world.
Yes.
Those dissenters put pressure. And now, because of the rules that we re-engage, wow, we have to re-engage the world. Thou shalt not kill. You know, we should probably pass a law that says thou shalt not kill. No, it's already there. So we got the pressure on McCarthy to represent actual conservative values. So a salute to the dissenters. And the reason they came around is because they got the authorization and they got the commitment to stick to the agenda, securing the borders, get the IRS agents the hell out of our pocketbook, to quit sending money to Ukraine, to quit forcing the heroes of the military to take an experimental shot. Some of the greatest things that you and I and the best Americans stand for, and that's the pressure we put on. A salute to dissenting.
And I'm looking very forward because they're taking the vote on the rules today. And I'll be curious to see because already there's some McCarthy backers that are kind of crawling the wrong direction on the deal that was made. I happened to participate in a town hall. I know you tried to get there, but you were in the middle of something. But there were several House members there, including your Chip Roy down there. And they were very candid about why they dissented and some of the rules that they wanted in. I was very pleased to hear them talking in terms of that they want a 72-hour moratorium before a bill is dropped on their desk for consideration and the vote. So then how about this novel idea? You know what you're voting on. They wanted to avoid these omnibills that led to the big spending spree that the Senate sent down the House's throat here, right, while they were lame duck, So I love the concept, Ted, but we've heard this song before. We've seen this played out before when Paul Ryan and McCarthy were in the majority and President Trump was in the White House. It was a Republican-controlled Senate. Did they secure the border? No. Did they pass election integrity? No. Did they stop the incredible spending spree that had started under Obama? No. And I could go on and on. So are you optimistic or pessimistic, or are you going to be a wait and see guy because I know President Trump backed this deal? I mean, I don't know. I'm really confused. So are our listeners. What's your take?
Well, I'm the eternal optimist, but I'm a realist and a pragmatist. And I'm witnessing the intentional orchestrated destruction of the American dream by the United States government as led by this horrible, horrible freak of an anti-American who infests the White House. Those are some harsh words, but debate me on them. But you pointed out one thing, that they have to have 72 hours to actually read the bill. Just think, Keith, if Satan infested our government, and then with that scowl that Satan has and that nasty look, always very hateful and very negative and very demonic. And just think if that Satan got to be Speaker of the House and stood behind the greatest president of ever and ripped up our State of the Union address and then actually waved a giant thousands-page bill and went, "You don't need to read this. You need to sign it to find out what's in it." Keith,
right.
This is an outtake from Planet of the Apes. They wouldn't even put that stupidity in there because Nancy Pelosi is a horrible, horrible human being. And that's what they have manipulated. And now we're on the right track. So my optimism increases. And again, I glow positive energy, attitude, and spirit because my inner circle, my friends, my shit kicker buddies in Michigan and Texas and all around the country, the great ranches I just hunted over the weekend, Mrs. Nugent, the world's most dangerous bow hunter, and Little Miss Dangerous Queen of the Forest. So I am surrounded by such positive. I'm well aware of the negative, so I fight it because I know that the American dream continues to pulsate in the heart and soul of the best Americans. But here's the nightly Nuge battle cry. You have to put pressure on your elected employees. And I'm going to reference once again, because it's not dead, hunternation.org. Really
right.
Join me and Keith and participants in this sacred experiment in self-government, hunternation.org, where we circle the conservative wagons, which is what the 20 dissenters did. They put conservative pressure on McCarthy to come out of his moderate rhino shell, his Democrat undercover work, and actually comply with the heart and soul of his constituents, which in the big picture is you and me. And by the way, Keith, I got to tell you, on behalf of all the Nightly Nuge viewers, a big salute to you and Tim and Josh and everybody that has put this together, because truth, logic, and common sense is being more and more available with the guys like Joe Rogan and some of these great conservatives in the media, especially Fox News, who are the only truth, logic, and common sense media out there right now. So Newsmax is good. And of course, Real America's Voice. Join me at the Real America Voice Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire, because nobody can make me compromise. And nobody's got the insanity to debate me, because I'll eat their family tree and spit toxic sawdust in their face. That's my job.
Well, Ted, tomorrow, I want to talk about this historic trip that President Biden made to the southern border. I want to get your take on that. I saw a little bait and switch going on down there. We might have a few pictures to show before and after, and maybe give a few statistics. But you know what, Ted? I think our listeners want to know what you think of the Great One's trip to the border. See you tomorrow night, Ted. We'll have more truth, logic, and common sense right here on the Nightly Nuge.
Truth, logic, and common sense on the end of a giant industrial crowbar. I love America, real America. Thank you, Keith.